In addition to being in the land that was stolen from Native Americans and the United States economic growth that was created from the labor of foundational Black Americans that they have never been compensated for that benefited white people, yours is in the wages that your ancestors were allowed to earn and the property that they were allowed to own and pass down through inheritance. Because those are things that Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color were excluded from doing. The Indian Removal Act, the Homestead Act, Alien Land Laws, Chinese Exclusion, Jim Crow, Mexican Repatriation, the Social Security Act, that corn is subsidized, the Wagner Act, redlining, and restrictions on non-white immigrants becoming citizens of the United States are just a few of the measures that were put in place to make sure that white people were able to get theirs at the expense of and to the exclusion of Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color. So if you don't know where yours is, then I suggest that you join Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color because we are telling you that it is being taken by white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. But your question reminds me of a bunch of people who are waiting for a bus on a rainy day, which stinks for everybody. And a car comes by, runs a red light, and hits a pedestrian in the crosswalk. And when the ambulance arrives to attend to the person who's been hit in the crosswalk, you jump in the way of the medics and you say, "I've been waiting for the bus, where's my ride?"
All right, let's get straight into this lesson. But you saw it, she was breaking down some very important, vital things that our people have lost sight of because they've been comfortable in captivity. But I like this picture right here. I'm gonna read it. It says the reality of. It says I'm doing this for to the top to the left. It says I'm doing this for your own good, not the one in the middle towards the top, so we can go forward together. And you see how he's stepping on his back, right? So they put us in slavery and subjugation, raped the women, um, split the families up, right? Stole the land from our other brothers, the Gadites and the Reubenites, which are Israelites. They're not Native American people. They're Israelites, and they're not Indians. That's an insult, right? So after they stole the land from them, they made us work the lands, and they made all this generational wealth that she was talking about in that video. That's why you see these sprawling cities. That's why you go through most of these neighborhoods in the upscale areas, most of them owned by so-called white people. They've been able to benefit off our suffering and still live a, privileged life, something called so-called white supremacy. And our monkey-minded people don't even know what's going on. Let me get more into this. Towards the top in the middle, it says, so we can go forward together. And he said, hey, and you can see the one to the far right at the top. It says, puff, puff, you're hurting me. I'm gonna go to the one to the bottom, to the left-hand side. It says, phew, pew, enough, I'm getting up too. The one in the middle, I'm sorry that I was racist, but I know better now. You see, he got to the top, right? And you see this one right here, the last one. It says, cool, give me a hand up, will you? And the Edomite, I got up here by myself while I came to you. And a lot of you devils will say, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And that, we so-called got opportunities, which is a fucking lie, right? You got a few Jakes right here and there, but overall, you devils control everything, right? The real estate, you control the lands that you stole. You get the benefit of the inheritance off the land that your forefathers stole, raped, robbed, and pillaged, lied, destroyed, conquered. All right, alligator bait. Right, misuse, misuse and abuse Salakia. Our people, and you got them traumatized. They're in a state of being fucked up. All right, this state that they're in, it can't be comprehended throughout the flesh. All right, look at this Edomite right here, this fucking devil. And this is the sentiment of most of you Edomites. You Edomites, right? And that's what our people don't understand, because this is your average Edomite at your job, your co-worker that feel this way. He'll smile in your face or she'll smile in your face, but this is how they really feel inside, deeply. Fuck your reparations. That's how they feel, right? As you seen in that picture. So let me get a little bit more into this lesson in 1 second. All right, I'm gonna get into, these homes right here. Most of these homes, most of the land, the real estate, what I'm saying, and investment properties, etc., owned by Edomites. So all this was built out off our backs. You see these sprawling mansions right here, all right? And it's what you Edomites don't want to acknowledge. But the Lord gonna make you acknowledge it, all right? And that's why you got a hard life ahead of you in the kingdom. It's gonna be bitter. It's gonna be gruesome, right? It's gonna be something that you can't comprehend. You can smile now, but you're gonna cry later, right? But you see this. This is how this place was built up of robbery, rape, deceit, deception, right? Stealing, killing, you name it. And now people can't see the bloodshed of this place because they under the spell of what it is today. They look at these corporations, right? And they can't see it. Let's go here, right? And a lot of these corporations participated in slavery. They benefited and profited off our people's, right? These mega companies that you see today, a lot of them, especially these insurance companies. Look at this right here. It said, who owns almost all America's land? Let's just get straight into it. Let's get straight into it right here at the top. It says so-called white Americans, which are Edomites, by comparison, own more than 98% of U.S. land amounting to 856 million acres with a total worth of over 1 trillion. So what has changed? All right. Let me go to the you Jakes right here at the very top. It says so-called African Americans, which they being Africans and black and all this other madness, despite making up 13% of the population, it says own less than 1% of rural land in the country. The combined value of this land is 14 billion. You see that vast amount of difference from 1 trillion, right? That the so-called white man and his families, right? And you just at 14 billion, right? Which is chump change compared to all the shit you've been through. All right, that ain't nothing. Again, Edomites own 98% of the land of the United States. Let me go back. Let me see. Slovakia. But it right here, it says so-called white Americans by comparison own more than 98% of U.S. land. You see this? So what has changed? How people talk about this progression, right? They out their mind, man. They out their mind. I'm trying to keep it clean. Let me go to this one. It says receiving an inheritance helps so-called white families more than so-called black families. You Israelites, and that's you so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans, right? Because you are people too, whether you know it or not. It says right here, it says the figure below shows median wealth for households with and without an inheritance. Let me get straight to the point. It says the importance of inheritance to the wealth position of white so-called families is staggering. It's staggering. At the median, an inheritance increases wealth by more than 100,000 for so-called white families and only 4,000 for so-called black families. And that's black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, probably a lot lower than that. But you see the staggering number, right? It says this increases the inheritance so-called white families more than 100,000. And for you Jakes that love this place, only $4,000. That's fucking crazy, man. Right? So let's get into some scripts. But you Edomites say it wasn't me, right? So let's get into this scripture. Isaiah 14:21. It says, prepare slaughter, and this thus said the Lord. This not our own words. For his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. So you got to pay, right? And if you have any kind of spiritual discernment, you are your forefathers back in reincarnation. That's above most of these people understanding, though. It's only for the elect to understand this, that they do not rise nor possess the land. So this is the last hoorah for you devils, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So this a wrap. Let's go here. This is your last hoorah. America is done. It has to be a recompense, a payback for all the evil and the injustice, the demonic things you've done to our people. You got our people in the state of bugged out. And you have to pay for that. They calling themselves black. They calling themselves Mexican. They all jacked up in their head. They got demons on them. They live in a confused life. They live in an LGBT life. They don't know the God of the Bible. They know the God of Christianity. There's so many things you've done to our people. Psychological warfare. All right. Revelations 13 and 10. And you Christians can't comprehend these scriptures. All right. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. That makes the Lord fair and righteous because you reap what you sow. The Lord would be unfair to make us pay for this and not be no payback for us. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints, right? Which should be you Israelites. Let's go here. And the Lord put the spirit back on us to get the correct understanding out these scriptures, all right? And you devils gonna have to pay. And some of you devils will say you didn't, you say it wasn't you, but you benefited. You're accessory to a crime, right? It says benefit. It says receive an advantage, profit. A lot of you receive these advantages, all right, by, going to these, getting the best education that you can get in the land, being, not discriminated on for where you want to stay at, right? You get job opportunities, you know what I'm saying, that our people are not going to never see, right? What gives you an advantage, you get, we can go down the list, all right? So they got something called redlining that we still are traumatized by to this very day, and it affects us economically on a vast amount of level. So I don't want to hear that shit that it wasn't you, all right? You accessory to a crime, right? So that makes you guilty according to y'all criminal code. Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, there shall he reap. So you sow robbery, rape, corruption, right? Idolatry, wickedness, LGBT lifestyle, right? You sold that and you in this earth. Now you have to pay for that because the Most High is not going to be mocked. He's not going to be made a fool out of, man. Zechariah 11 and 5. It says, who possesses slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And that's you devils quick to say it wasn't me. All right. But you know what they say, silence is violence. All right. And you own stolen land. You own stolen property. And a lot of you devils will say go back to Africa. But you the ones that invaded this country. You said you discovered America. You actually stole it. So you the ones need to go back to, to the land of Edom. Right? Mount Seir. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord. God bless America. That's the slogan for you devils. All right. And you always talking about how great this country been to you, but what about our suffering? You don't give a damn about it. All right. For I am rich. So this country has made you Edomites rich. You used our labor for 400 plus years, and you still use our labor to this very day to continue to maintain your riches in the land that you stole and the treaties that you broke. And their own shepherds pity them not. So our people, the TD Jakes and, the Creflo Dollars don't give a damn about our people suffering. They sold out, right? They're in compliance with the devil, right? The so-called white man with the system, the beast system, right? And they got their recompense coming as well, right? Let's go here, compensation, all right? Let me read this real quick, but this is something that our people can't comprehend. They'll even call it reparations. By reparations coming from the Lord, it said compensation. No compensation was ever paid for this. It says something, typically money, awarded to someone as a recompense for loss, injury, or suffering. So that debt has never been paid, right? But the Lord gonna give us reparations. We want you, call Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rachakwadash. Shalom.